Hi everyone, it's Dorcas and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to finally swatch all of the inks that I have acquired over the summer because it is quite the stack. Now I typically collect samples. Definitely I have a lot of these type of samples that I've gathered from friends or just bought as sample size in order to not commit to a full bottle. But after the DC Pen Show and the San Francisco Pen Show and an event at Osaka, I've definitely acquired a lot of bottles. Plus, I have about 37-ish new colors to swatch. Some I already had, so I already had the sample and I just bought a full bottle of it. And half of those colors were gifted to me by friends. There was a giveaway at the San Francisco Pen Show and I won a bottle of ink. Um, and so, yeah, so they were not all bought. There were some that were gifted, or I've just, it's landed in my collection for free, which I'm never going to say no to free ink. So, what I typically do when I swatch my inks is I swatch it in this Hobonichi plain notebook, an A6 size, and I've gone ahead and used this ink bottle stamp and use an archival ink so that when I go over it with the inks, it doesn't smear or smudge. And I categorize my inks by color family. So you'll see that I have creams and browns here in the beginning. Then it goes into blues and purples. Then we go into the greens, pinks and reds, grays and blacks, and then finally oranges and yellows. And I will go through these in a future video. We can kind of go in and focus on one color family, just compare, maybe give you some of my favorites within that grouping. But for today, we are just going to go through and add the new colors to my ink swatching book. So I have my notebook and then I have a few tools here that I've used for ink swatching. I have my Kakimori nib here, which is what I typically use to write the name or just kind of scribble so that you can see the variation in the shading if there is any. I've also used my glass dip pen. This is the J. Arbon glass dip pen. It was my first glass dip pen that I bought at Osaka years ago. And in here, maybe I'll just doodle or write or draw with that. At the DC Pen Show, I found the cutest little glass dip pen, and it serves a dual purpose where you can smear some of the ink with this side and then write with the other. Not sure if I'll use this here, but I just kind of want to show you. It's so tiny and cute. And then my friend gave me this other ink swatching tool so you can smear some colors on there. It's a like silicone or rubbery and also very cute and portable. And then we just have these two cheap brushes. I got these at Corolla's Abstract Florals class that she held at the San Francisco Pen Show. And the reason why she gave us these brushes and recommended we use them is if you're doing shimmery inks, that if you use some other fancier brush, you might not be able to get that glitter out of the bristles. So she recommended using these cheap brushes, and so these are the ones I got from her class. And so we'll use a variety of that. I typically use a brush to color inside the ink bottle stamp, and then the dip pens or the Kakimori nib to write out the name of the ink. So since we're here in the beginning with my browns and creams, we're gonna go ahead and start there. It's also the color family that I have the most amount of inks in. So it makes sense to start there and hopefully start to clear out this pile from the table. Okay, so we're gonna start, well, actually, I'll say that I have Robert Oster's Cafe Crema. Let's see. I'm pretty sure, here we go. So if you can see, I already have this color, so I'm not gonna swatch it again. I had it as a sample and decided to get a full bottle. So that one we're just gonna put to the side here. And let's see if there are any others that I have. Let's see. Because I definitely do not want to duplicate my swatches. All right, so here, this is another one that I have. I had it as a sample, ran right through it, but it's the Sailor Urameku Kitsune Biori. It's a very popular one, and I finally got a bottle of it at the San Francisco Pen Show. It was one of, I think it was the last thing that I bought at that table, along with my Sailor Line Friends Sally colorway. Let's see, so I'm not gonna swatch that one. Let's see, I don't think I have this one, but the cartridges, obviously I'm not gonna open them in order to swatch them. I'll just do that later on once I've inked a pen with it, but I have a couple of cartridges that I'm going to just leave off to the side, but it belongs in this color family. At least I believe so, from the swatches that I saw when I bought this at Atlas Stationers in Chicago. So this is the Sailor Shikori in the Kamoshika color. That aside, so what do I have? Why don't we go with, colors that I have not had in my stash yet. So let's start with Tono and Limbs. This is from Osaka's a spacewalk event that they had earlier this summer. And this one says Osaka on the bottle, but I believe that's just the collection, because I have some others that say New York City, and then the name is a different color. The name is a different thing, but since this is in Japanese, I'm not quite sure what the color is, so I might have to get back to you on that one. Okay, so we're actually going to use our brush, and I also have some water here to clean my brush in between colors. There, so this kind of borders between cream and dusty pink and almost like a purple. And then we're going to use our kakimori nib to go up here. Next we have, let me make sure I don't have this one. This is a Sailor ink that I bought this one at Atlas Stationers as well, because the table where I bought the Kitsune Biori, which I want to say was the Toya table, they had ran out of this one by the end of the show, which is when we stopped by their table. Okay, so I definitely don't have that one. And it's one that Abby C had told us she really likes, so that's why I was keen on getting this one. And I saw a swatch of it, and let's see if it even belongs in this family. All right, so I'm gonna move that one over to the green family because I'm just remembering that it has a greenish tint. It's a very muted, but I'm gonna put that with the greens, which is kind of competing for most colors, most inks that I have acquired. All right, so we're gonna go with DeAtramentis Document ink in brown. I have quite a few of these colors at this point. I really like their document ink in the black. And I went to Atlas Stationers hoping to get a bottle of it because I've only ever had a sample, both of the document ink and the archive, because they're both waterproof. And so I don't really do a lot of highlighting after I write in my planner, but I do like having waterproof ink so that when I am sketching, I can paint in watercolors and not have to worry about smearing. Now for this one, I'm gonna use my J.R. Bond glass dip pen. I feel like it lays down a little less ink than the Kakimori nib. And I have a little more control over the ink flow. I'm still learning how to use the Kakimori nib. So this is DeAtramentis. A really, kind of like a basic brown, but it definitely dries really nice. And the reason why you'd use it is it's definitely for the waterproof properties. All right, so we've got that. And so like I mentioned, so I've used the black as a sample. Now I have a bottle of the brown, and then my friend gave me both blue and green. So I think I'm pretty set on DeAtramentis ink. Okay, let me go with this other sketch ink, which actually I'm also remembering that it goes with in the green family. So leave that aside for later. So we have these, and that might be all for the browns. Let me check this real quick. Make sure this might also be a green. Yep. So I started out thinking that I was gonna have a ton of creams, but turns out it's only these two. Okay, so these are the two creams that I got. They're very pretty. Kind of creams and browns. All right, so now let's move on to the greens. Or actually the blues. Blues and purples are next. And this section is pretty full. It's funny, I love blue. Blue is my favorite color, but I don't always enjoy writing with blue. I don't know if it's because it reminds me of school and blue ballpoints, but I do love kind of these muted purples, and I have a few blue pens, but don't always write with blue. But I did acquire a few new blue colors. I'll put those here. And all of them were gifted to me. So the first one that we'll test out is this writing ink agave, and 3 of these were from the same friend. So let's start with agave. Let's make sure we have enough of that. And I did swatch these in my planner when I went to visit her. And then we went to the DC pen show together. So shout out to her if she's watching. She's been so amazing and generous, and is actually the one that got me in this fountain pen rabbit hole. So I don't know actually if to thank her or be like, what did you do to me and my wallet? But no, she's been great, and I'm very thankful. She also went with me to the San Francisco Pen Show, so it's just been awesome to have someone else to geek out over this stuff. All right, so that's writing ink blue agave. Now Let's grab our dip pen. It's a really pretty blue. Oh, why did I think blue was part of the name? It's just agave. Just so pretty. It goes down really smooth. Now, I've never heard of this ink brand, but one, love the packaging. It's very simple, but classy. And I want to see what other colors they have. I did test out some other ones. So I'll probably want to look through my planner and maybe get more samples of the ones that I swatched at her place. So that is Writing Ink Agave. Next we have, well, we're gonna let that dry for a bit before we turn the page. Okay, let's move on to the next colors. Now, I don't care that that bleeds over to the other side because we still have this right here and I'll be able to see the colors just fine. So we're going to start here and then do those three. So this is Birmingham inks, and again, got this from my friend. She's the one that introduced me to Birmingham inks as well. And this one is called Tesla Coil, and in her label she wrote, warning, messy and stains, but so lovely. So let's see. Get some more of these ink blotches here. We'll see how that dries. Next up we have Birmingham Pen Company as well, and this one is called Allegheny River. I want to make sure my brushes are super clean because I'm still seeing some of that blue on there. Okay, so Allegheny River. Ooh, see, this is my kind of blue. It's like a blue-gray. Really like this one. I'm gonna use the Kakimori nib. Go quicker with that because it lays down a thicker swatch. And I can go thinner. Yeah, this kind of color is my jam. Kind of looks like a mess, but I'll get the idea. And if you're wondering why there's so much space in between the swatches, because I think maybe looking back I would have put in a third stamp just to squeeze in more as I run out of space. It's because I typically write in, when I ink a pen with the color, I write the pen name. Let's see if I have a quick example while that dries. So see here. So whenever I ink a pen, I write with it so that I can see what it looks like in that particular pen. And sometimes the way it swatches, it looks different, you know, a fine versus a medium. A medium, you might be able to see more of the qualities of the ink, if it's shading or shimmer. And so I just like to see, you know, maybe in the fine I'm still able to see it, so I know that I can ink a fine nibbed pen with that ink, and I'll still be able to enjoy it. So then finally in this blue purple category, we have an ink that I got from Bichori's class. So for the monoline lettering class, he gave us two inks, so this one and this one. And they're both from Tono and Limbs. And this one is Bleu Macaron. So we are going to swatch it here on the side. And let me check because I've forgotten that the the little dots did not pertain to the color family that they're in. So I think this one's actually Bleu Macaron because the other one is more on the green side. I just swatched it on the side here. Yeah, so this one would go here. So this is Bleu Macaron and this one would be Suit Spade. So I'm going to put this one in the green the green pile, and then this is Blue Macaron from Tono and Limbs. It could probably be in like the gray, in the gray grouping, but I can see it has a little bit of a blue tinge. And Bichori gave us two colors so that we can mix them together, and they actually worked really well together. Like the two colors were just blending really nicely. So this one is Tono and Limbs. He gave us a pretty generous amount, I have to say. So I know I can get quite a few fills from this. All right, so that is our fourth blue. I need to relabel this because I'm definitely gonna forget which one was which down the line. So I'm gonna move that over there and give this a little time to dry before we move on to our next color family. But you can see we have Tesla Coil, and there is definitely some sheenings, like a red sheening. Let's see if I can get a little closer. Let's see. We have Tono and Limbs, and Allegheny Reverse, kind of like a blue-gray. It's very nice. So the next color family that we're going to swatch are the greens. Now, I am a sucker for a good green, so that one is going to be the largest batch. I'm going to put this Bungubox Esterbrook collab blotter paper. They released it for their Kingfisher pen, and I won a pack of these from Corolla's class. So I'm gonna put this to use so that then we can move along. This is still a little wet, so I'm gonna put it this way to make sure that we don't mess up the opposite page. So we're gonna go to the green page, and let's see. Let's start with the other Tono and Limbs ink that Bichori gifted us for his class. And this one is called Suit Spade. And it's a nice kind of vibrant green, like a blue-green, kind of springtimey, pretty light turquoise color. This seems to be a color I probably won't want to use on a very fine nib. Oh my goodness, what a mess. But I'd be curious to see, you know, how light does it get on a very fine nib. Might be better on a medium and up. Okay, next up on the lineup, this other ink that I got at San Francisco. In San Francisco, I won this in Corolla's workshop. It's a Ferris wheel press ink called Down the Dawn Valley, and this has some shimmer in it, so we're gonna shake it up a bit. It's very pretty. From what I can tell, it's kind of like an emerald. I'm not sure what the shimmer is, if it's silver or gold, but we will find out shortly. Ooh, seems to be silver. Oh, it's also very vibrant. I feel like that leans more blue than this one. It's kind of like a shimmery grass green. Again, I do like greens, but I like kind of like deep, dark jungle green or like a muted green. But I'm not gonna say no to free ink. Yeah, it's a lot brighter than I thought it would be. So it is not an emerald green like I thought it would be. It's more of a grass green. I guess like a valley Valley colors. I do have to say I love the Ferris wheel press bottles. They're very fancy. They look like perfume bottles. Next, let's go with Birmingham Pen Company Basil Pesto. And this is not a shimmer or anything, so I swatched this. This again is a gift from my friend, and I swatched it in my planner when I was with her, and I really wanted it as a sample. So this one's more of a muted, kind of like a brown, yellow, green kind of mixture. Looks a little muddy, but I thought it looked interesting. And I do want to explore more of Birmingham's inks in the future. Nice, yeah. It's kind of like a muddy little green. That's really lovely. Again, might be light on fine nibs, but I kind of really like that one. So that was Basil Pesto by Birmingham Inks. We're gonna go with Diamine Machu Picchu. Another sample. Another gifted sample, I should say. And this one is like a bold lime green or yellow green. Not even gonna care that I wrote it in the wrong place. Well, let's wait until this dries and then I'll come back and continue. Okay, here, now that they've dried, you can see Toot Spade, Ferris Wheel Press, Machu Picchu, and Basil Pesto, which is looking more gray. I feel like maybe the light isn't really showing the green in it, but okay, that's pretty dry. Let's move on to the next batch. So we've got another Tono and Limbs, which is Osaka Moss. And so you see how it has New York, New York there, and then the color of this ink in the New York series. And I got 3 at that spacewalk event. And so we've already done the Osaka. Now we're doing Osaka Moss. And yeah, see, this is the kind of green I like. And again, we were able to swatch as many inks as we wanted at that event. And so I decided these were I got 2 of the exclusive inks to that event. They go around the mostly Asia, but I've seen them go to, I don't know if they've gone to other shops in the US, but you know, they have a shimmer bar so you can kind of mix your own inks and then add whatever shimmers you want to those inks. And I think even the regular ones, the ones that are just part of their collection, you can add your own shimmer to what they already have. But not a huge fan of shimmer, so I decided not to do that. I wonder if I have a pen with Tono and Limbs, so I wonder if they run on the drier side. That is a very pretty color. Okay, that is Osaka Moss. Okay, next we're gonna do Amamoyoi. So this one is a color that Abby C had recommended when I took her everyday journaling with fountain pens workshop at the San Francisco Pen Show. And when well, when the whole class went over to the sailor table to get our special price for their sailor pen, one of their sailor pens. They had run out. It was the very last half hour of the show, and they had ran out of the pen, but they later shipped it to us if we paid for it at the show. And they had run out of some of the inks too that we wanted to get. And this is from, which line is this from? Maybe it's not from any line, because you know how there's Yurameku and Shikiori. I'm not quite sure what line this one is from. I do love Sailor inks. They're just, one, the colors are beautiful, and you'll see that there's some shadings in here with some pinks and maybe a little bit of brown and green. It's lovely. I really love Sailor inks. I have a bunch of samples, but these are my first bottles. I did get some, like I mentioned before, I got some cartridges. I'm not quite sure if I mentioned before. I did get some cartridges from various places, but I won't be swatching these because I'm not going to open the cartridges. Leave that there. We have this sketch ink that was gifted to me, and I'd never heard of this brand before, but it is waterproof. So you can draw with this and then paint over it and it won't smear. This is also good for people who like to write and then highlight over their writing. I don't typically do that. I don't really do highlighting, but good to know that that's a possibility if you want to go over with your mild liners or your tombos, that this ink will stay put. Now this one seems to lean more brown, but it's kind of like a very deep olive. It's so interesting. When I started this video, I was trying to do it on Rhodia paper, but I didn't quite like how it was starting to seep through the paper. But I want to show you the difference between, this is a Hobonichi paper and the Rhodia paper. So notice how light it was here. And again, I'm pretty sure I used, let's see, did I use the Kakimori nib? I used the Kakimori nib with this one. So let me see what that looks like with the Kakimori nib. Yeah, it's darker on here. Maybe it'll lighten up once it dries. All right, next we're gonna go with the DeAtramentis document ink. We got another document ink here, waterproof as the others are. Ooh. Yeah, I like that green. And this is totally my vibe. I like that it's not like classic green. Well, I'm noticing this is dark green. And I got this at, oh well, no, my friend gave me this one actually. So I did swatch it before I came home with it. But I was gonna say that at Atlas Stationers, they had all the inks they had in stock and a massive swatch book. Oh, what am I doing? A massive swatch book, where a binder where they've had all of the swatches, and you can see for yourself what the colors look like. It's hard to tell definitely from the labels. So I like how it's dark green, but you can definitely make it lighter. I'm imagining if use a finer nib. Maybe there's a way you can get it lightened up, but I do like the dark one. But you know, all that said, it's lightening up as it's drying, so it's not staying as dark as it initially went down. And now we're gonna let that dry. They're mostly fairly dry. And here are the colors. Okay, let's go to our next batch of green inks, and let's go with this one. I got this at the Hachimonjia table at the San Francisco Pen Show, and it is also a Tono and Limbs, but I am not quite sure which ink color it is. It's kind of like a collab, but how cute is this? It's like a little jam jar. I don't remember what color it is, so I'll have to find it and link to it, but it is also a shimmer ink. They had swatches already done up on their table, and I thought it looked really pretty, so I'm going to unwrap this, even though I don't want to. Ugh. Here, I'm going to just leave it like that because I think I can unscrew it without having to take it off. I probably didn't even have to take that off, but I'll add it back on later. And I mixed it up, so let me add some of this. It's like a little teal blue. And the packaging is just chef's kiss. Okay, this is, I'm gonna put Hachimonjia with Tono Limbs. And then I'll add the name of the color once I've figured it out. Okay. For the final two greens, at least I hope they're the final two greens, I got these two Kiwi inks at the San Francisco, and I know I said that I don't really do shimmer inks, but when I tell you that these were absolutely gorgeous, I could not resist. Now, this one is more of a green. This one is going to be more of a blue, so I'm going to have to go back to the blue section. I couldn't quite tell from the label, or this is Glamorous Peacock. So I'm going to put this aside because I'm going to put this in the blue/purple section, and this one I'm going to do here. And then I think that is all I have for greens. So this one is Treasures of Atlantis by Kiwi Ink. I want to make sure I get all of that glitter in there. There's a lot. It was incredible. And then they had these paintings that they had created with their inks. And so that's what really made me wanna get some. I got one, and then I think I went back for a second or a third. Yeah, I got three at the show. I bought two, and then I went back for a third. And I also bought my friend one because she'd been eyeing it, and she's been so generous with me that it was the least I can do. Okay, so this is Treasures of Atlantis. I want to try and capture that shimmer before it settles back down. And they're all handmade by this woman. I feel like by now that shimmer has settled, but hopefully here you'll be able to see there's not only shimmer, but there's shading. There's all kinds of interesting things happening with this ink. So once it dries, I'll give you a close-up on what that looks like. Okay, so Kiwi ink Treasures of Atlantis is now dry, and I want you to look at this. You see greens and reds and shimmer, and again, I don't think the light does it justice, but it's absolutely stunning in person. It's just gorgeous. And then I went ahead and swatched Glamorous Peacock as well. And that one has red sheening and then some shimmer in there as well. If you can, there you go. You can see that. It's like purple, red, and it's also really beautiful. So those are my Kiwi inks. I have a third one to come, but that is it for my blues and my greens, browns, and creams. And so we are going to move on to the next grouping, which is the pinks and reds. Let me get this. I'll put it right here. Okay. So first up, we have Wilted Rose. This was part of the Ink Vent, Diamine's Ink Vent calendar. I think it's the black edition, so I think it was from 2024. Let's see if it says it. It does not say it, but my friend and I are considering getting one and just splitting it amongst ourselves. But you know, eventually they have like little sample sizes of 25 different inks, and then one of them, I think the last one, is not a full bottle size but bigger than the other. So this is Wilted Rose. I can't remember where I got this from. This might be from the Van Ness table at DC, I think. Can't remember. Let's see, I'd have to look back at my old videos just to remember what I got when. So this is Wilted Rose. Kind of has a little orangey shade to it. It's not what you would think a rose would look like, but yeah, it definitely wilted, like once a rose has dried. Like if you dry a rose and the colors become more muted, this is definitely that. I like that. I'm not a huge fan of kind of like very light pinks or even bright pinks. Let's see if I have an example here while that dries. I don't really have a lot like this one. See, that's a no for me. And even this one, I'm not really a fan of. It's like a little too neon for me. I do love this bottle though. Just the design of the bottle is just very, very stable. Right now I'm kind of searching for a good pink for my Achimonji Sailor Pro Gear in the Kubo Sakura pink pen. I put in the Bloom ink that goes with that pen, and it is just way too light for me. I got a medium nib and it's just still not dark enough, so I'm looking for a slightly darker pink. Maybe not this one. As it's drying, it's looking more and more like leaning toward not brick red, but like almost brownish. but I guess that's what happens when a pink rose dries up. And here, what I actually have, I'll ink swatch that next. The Kubo Sakura Bloom Pink by Achimonjia. Let's see. I know what it looks like in the pen already, but let's see what it looks like swatched. I'm sure it'll look. I mean, it's a pretty color. It's just very light. I mean, I might have to use this just as a ink to paint with. And then I want to say it dries even lighter. Maybe I'll mix it with, you know, a dab of another color just to darken it up a bit. And obviously I'll mix it in the cartridge or in a separate inkwell. For this, I'm going to use this because I have not played with it yet. This was the wrong tool for such a light ink. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use the bigger one. There you have it. So this is a rose in all its glory. And then up top is what happens when you forget to water it, which is what happened to all my flowers when I went to San Francisco. And then we have this one. It's more of a like a muted purple. I mean, this could go in the other section, but I'm just gonna leave it here. And this is another sketch ink, so it's waterproof. It's kind of like a burgundy color. And I'll show you what it looked like in the Rhodia paper I was doing this on before, because it looks much lighter there, but it's already lightening up, so they seem to be pretty wet. Be curious to get a fude nib and play with these sketch inks and see the line variations and see if I can still manage to have some control if it puts down this much ink. So that is Sketch Ink Jewel, and that is it for the pinks and the reds. Again, I don't get a lot of those colors, but you know, figured I'd add a little bit. I mean, I do like dusty pinks and whatnot, but not like super bold colors. This might be interesting. I also like to match my inks to my pens, and since I don't have a lot of purple or bolder pens, that's probably why I stay away from those, but I do have like soft pinks and, you know, more muted colors, muted blues. I do have some bold blue pens, but that's probably why I don't use them as much because I haven't been using blue inks. All right, so we're gonna let this dry and then we'll take a look. All right, so I forgot that I actually have a few more that belong in this reddish category. So this one is from Colorverse. A little, how cute is this? It's so teeny. This is a gift from my friend. And it came with a little pipette. Super cute. This is a teeny little 5mm sample. And there's no shimmer in it. So we're just gonna go ahead and swatch this. And this is a more vibrant red, almost orange. It's nice. It's not like in your face. I can see why the pipette was included though, because that bottle opening is tiny. That definitely will have to go into an inkwell or, yeah, use the pipe to put it right into our cartridge. So that is Methuselah Tree by Colorverse. And then we have another Kiwi ink, but we're gonna let this dry and then we'll come back. Now that the inks have dried, I'm gonna give you a look. So that's Wilted Rose, the Bloom Pink. See how light it is? It's pretty, but I mean, even though I have a medium nib, it looks really light when I'm using it. This is Methuselah Tree, and this is the Sketch Ink Jewel. And I actually forgot another brown ink, so I'm gonna add that now really quick. It's the Achimunjia, not Achimunjia, Bungubox Quartier Latin Jimbocho. And I had forgotten because I had swatched it earlier and I thought it was a brown because I remembered it as a brown in the swatch when I got it at San Francisco Pen Show. But look how dark that looks. I thought it was black. So I switched it over to the gray blacks, and then looking at a swatch online just to double check, said it's a brown. So we're gonna try it on this whatchamacallit, Hobonichi paper, just to see. The ink cap looks like a dark brown, so we'll see what we get. All right, so we'll let that dry to see what it actually looks like. I mean, on this paper, it is looking more brown than it did on the Rhodia. Okay, so it's mostly dry. This part is pretty dry, but if you can see, it's a really deep, deep, deep brown. It's almost like purple black, kind of brown black. I don't know. It's lightening up in some areas. So it definitely looks more brown here than it did on this paper, for sure. So notice the difference. This is also, this paper is more cream than obviously the Rhodia. So that could also have something to do with it. But I mean, that's why they say to swatch the ink on the paper you're going to use it on, just because it can really vary. And I have to say, I really do love the label on this bottle. It's a lot of ink and definitely enough to share, but I love the packaging. All right, so that's pretty dry, but we're going to dab that a little bit before we put the blotting paper on there. There's also another red, but I've been hearing weird things about this one. This is a Monteverde DC special ink that they were giving out for free, and some people were saying that the shimmer looked off, so I've been kind of hesitant to use it because I heard someone saying like it could be mold, who knows, I don't know, but it's a bright shimmery red orange called Foxy. Again, not really a color I would go for just because it's so bright. I mean, granted, I know it's autumn, so I might even surprise myself this season, but yeah, let's see what it looks like. All right, and then finally for the reds, we have, let me see if I remember how to pronounce it, Quetzalcoatl, something like that. It's right over here. I will write it down, Quetzalcoatl, something like that. And this is also from Kiwi Inks. Let me shake this because obviously There's lots of shimmer in there. All right, should be good. Like a bright red. But again, there's like, once it dries, you'll see how there's sheening and other colors and shimmer. Just incredible. And I forgot the owner's name, but she had the station and a sign by her table that said that anyone, if you bought a new pen at the show, you are welcome to ink it with one of her inks for free. So she had bottles and you can go up and just ink your new pens with her beautiful inks, which I thought was one, really clever marketing, but also very generous. I'm curious to know, if you swatch your inks, how do you swatch them? Do you doodle? Do you kind of just paint a little square or blotch or some sort? What do you do the letters of the alphabet? Just curious. I've seen quite a few different methods online, and just I think eventually I'm gonna run out of space in this notebook, and just looking for other ideas for things I could do down the line. Okay, we're almost there. So we will let this one dry. And while that's drying, I want to show you this other little mini ink set from Pinky Elephant and Tag Stationery. Pinky Elephant was selling this at the Stationery at the San Francisco Pen Show, and they sold out, and I managed to get one, I think, on day one. And it's a little 5 set of ink samples, and these apparently are inspired by LA, by where they're based in Los Angeles, and I thought it was really cute. And so some of these color families we've already swatched earlier in this video, so I'm gonna just kind of do some catch up. This would go in this family, so I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this while the last 2 inks are drying. And we have all the swatches are here, but I'll have the name as well. So this one is Citrus Heat. So it's like a burnt orange. It's like a sunset. And I'm not sure if she still has some for sale. If she does, I'll definitely link to it. I'm glad that a dip pen does fit in these vials. And Pinky Elephant and the Monteverdi ones are still drying, but just so you can take a look at Quetzalcoatl. Look at that. There's greens and purples, some red, amazing shimmer. And that's the Monteverdi ink. It's like a very subtle silver shimmer. And Citrus Heat by Pinky Elephant is still drying, but I don't think it's gonna lighten up too much more than what you see up there. Now let's move over to the grays and the black colors. Here. The 2 of these I've already swatched because I had samples before. My hands are so inky. So I already have Fuyu Shogun, but I just got cartridges. So I got cartridges of that one, and then Ginsan Snow Gray, which I've been having in, this is Hachimonjia, which I've been having in my Ginsan Snow Gray pen that I got at the SF Pen Show. So I got this one and the Bloom Pink, the pens and the matching inks. And I've been loving this combination with that pen. It's so smooth. I was just journaling for a straight hour this morning with it. So I'm going to put that aside. And so we have our another Tono and Limbs ink from the Spacewalk at Osaka, Brooklyn Haze. And then we're going to go with Colorverse. This was the special show ink for San Francisco, and it's San Francisco Fog. So let me see if I can just peel it so I don't have to break the label. Success. And watch me break the box. Oh. All right, good enough. Okay, so they had the this year's as well as the past 2 years, which was San Francisco Bay, which was like a turquoise teal color, and that was from 2 years ago, I think. And then last year's was Golden Gate Bridge, which was like an orangey, almost like this reddish orange color. Okay, so this one is this year's color, which is San Francisco Fog. Later I'm gonna have to kind of really go through my grays because they're starting to all look the same. Like this one is looking very Fuyu-Shogun-y. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what difference there is, if any. There, we'll see when it dries, if it dries as light as Fuyu-Shogun. It is a nice gray though, so I am glad I got it. Okay, leave that there. Next we have Tono and Limbs Brooklyn Haze. This was the other special that was there that day. There were 4 in total, and the other 2 I want to say were scented. One was lavender, and I can't remember the other one, but I don't need scented inks. Oh, I must have touched that part of the paper because it's completely repelling the ink. There's that. That's like an interesting brown gray, which you can tell from the label. Again, I swatched these, and they're in the Brooklyn Stationery tour video, the swatches that I made on site before I bought these. So it's drawing really lovely. It's so funny right there. I have to be more mindful of where I put my hands if I plan to ink that area. So quick look. That one was from before. Pilot Irishisuku, Achimonjia Snow Gray, again from, I've had that like maybe a year at this point. San Francisco Fog, aka Carl. And then Brooklyn Haze. And we'll let that dry before moving on to the final ones. I have this Waterman black ink, so I can use it on my fancy pens. We have, well, this one is this is a blue one, so we're gonna go back to that. And then we have a yellow, which I don't typically go for, but it was a free sample, so figured I would try it out. All right, let's swatch our Waterman black ink. It's intense black ink. So I got this because I know it's a very high quality ink, and so for my vintage pens I want to use a Waterman, maybe. Let's see. Let's see how intense this ink is, because I have platinum carbon black, which is kind of my go-to for black waterproof ink. And that one is already pretty dark. Now this one isn't waterproof. I don't believe so, but it's supposed to be very good quality. Yeah, it's a pretty good classic black. Can't go wrong with that. All right, we're in the home stretch. So this is what the Waterman Intense Black looks like. Pretty basic black. So can use that in any pen. And let's go for Starfruit. So my orange and yellow page is quite small, but I got this sample and let's add that one in. Like I said, I don't really use a lot of yellows because I like fine nibs, and usually it's way too light for the kind of nibs that I like. But it's getting a little dark, so I might actually come back to this in the morning and we'll wrap up. I found this other blue, and then we'll just finish out the Pinky Elephant set and then kind of flip through at all the ones that we inked together today. So stay tuned. And we're back. It's now the next day, and we are going to wrap up this massive ink swatching session. So we finished out swatching the Waterman Intense Black, and it's all dried, obviously, but it's a pretty basic black here. And what I found interesting when I turned the page is, look what it looks like on the other side. You see those like orangey yellow stains in the back? So I don't know what the base is for this color. I mean, if I was trying to look at the light, and I do see some brownish tints. It's not a shimmer ink, it's a dye ink. But maybe I'll re-swatch it later on because I wasn't expecting that. All right, so I had this sample on the side and completely forgot to swatch it when we were in the blue section. So we're gonna do that as well as finish out swatching the rest of the Pinky Elephant Stag Stationery collab. So we are going to open this up, and this is Wearingeul, For Whom the Bell Tolls, another gifted sample. And this will be a blue, I think it was like a, I don't remember if it was a deep blue or a teal, but we are going to find out. Well, let me make sure we're not even the blue section, even though that looks blue, we put that in the green section. So we're gonna go all the way over here to our blues and purples. Make sure I didn't skip any. All right, so we're gonna do that one here. And this is kind of, it does border between blue and green, but I'm just gonna put it here. And once this dries, I have a inkling it's gonna look more green than blue. There. All right. So this is part of their literary series, and I got to swatch quite a few when I was with my friend in DC, and I love that whole series. There's so many good ones there, so I might have to get a few more samples at some point. So this one, well, forgot. to name this one. There you go. It's like a really deep, dark green. And once that dries, I'm going to show you a comparison because I had done a quick little swatch on that rodeo paper I mentioned before, and it looked very different, which is why I figured I'd put it with the blue section, but on this Hobonichi paper, it's looking different. Okay, now we have from Pinky Elephant, this is Pacific Gaze, and this is a shimmer. So let me close this back up so I can shake it. Yeah, I see the shimmer at the bottom. This is definitely going to be a blue. It's a nice blue. I like that it's not super bright. So we're gonna give that some time to dry, and then we'll see how it looks. And I'll bring out the other swatch of For Whom the Bell Tolls so you can see the difference. Okay, so both of these inks have dried, and I need to go back and change. The name of this ink is actually Pacific Gaze, not Pacific Glaze. So I will change that out later. Let me show you. For Whom the Bell Tolls has this red sheen. And now that it's dry, it's definitely kind of like a dark teal. And then there's the shimmer for the Pacific Gaze. And I also think I meant to write tag Stationery, so I'll go back and change that later. But I pulled out the sample, the little swatch that I made For Whom the Bell Tolls, and I guess I completely misremembered because it is definitely more on the greener side, like blue-green, deep teal. But either way, it looks darker on the Hobonichi paper. And you can't really see any kind of red sheening on this. So there is that. And this is pretty dry. So we're going to go ahead and swatch the next Pinky Elephant ink. We'll go with the green. And the green is called Palm Green. I love these names. They're so fitting. I'm actually going to use a different brush because the previous one is still has a lot of blue in it. So I'm gonna get a new brush. Again, really like this green. It's nice and deep. It's not too bright. And it is lovely. I'm gonna let that dry. It's just funny what I've categorized as greens and they just look way more blue, but it's fine. Usually when I'm searching for a color, knowing that some greens look more blue and some blues look more green, I kind of just flip through both sections, and they kind of, as that dries, they kind of bleed into one another. I had set out a certain amount of pages, and because I had so many blues, I ended up starting to bleed over into the next section. So I'm probably going to end up having to use these for more blues at some point, or greens. I've already done that in this section between the blues and the cream browns. I had to add more sections because I keep getting more and more blues. So at some point they're also going to meet, and maybe I'll just do tabs to separate out the color families. So let's let this dry, and then we'll go to the next one. So palm green has dried, so this is what it looks like. Oop. Just a really nice deep green, but with some light areas. Just definitely add that to my rotation. Next we have, I'm gonna go with Dusky Sunset, which would go in the blue family. So we're gonna go right back here, and I should have done that earlier, but we'll do that now. So Dusky Sunset, and that is not a shimmer or anything. Yeah, if you have, I would just be really curious to hear how you guys organize your ink swatches. Do you use, I have a few of those swatch cards, especially the fun, like the Wearingeul ones where you paint and there's a, what do you call it? Like a little image that comes out that repels the ink. Those are really fun. Have not used them because they're so cute. I have some from, who was it? Thousand Skies and Pinky Elephant had some fun little like stationery scene ones. Go this way. And some frames. So I have a few different swatch cards. Do you all use those and then keep them in a binder? Because I think I would be interested in that just because it's easier to compare different colors when trying to select an ink for my pens. I will say doing this under the camera, it's a little more difficult, but almost there, almost at the finish line. We just have one more color to go. So we'll let this dry and then we'll finish it out. Okay, and this is Dusky Sunset, and still a little wet, but that's it for the most part. And this is why it's important to swatch your inks, because it looks a little more purple in the little swatch booklet that they sent. I mean, it's close, but this is definitely giving more pink than I initially thought. Okay, there's that. Just dab up the rest of this dried napkin. And then finally, we're gonna go back to the browns and swatch Coffee Brown. So that's another pretty brown to add the collection. And let's see if it dries up a little lighter, because it's looking like it will. I have to say again, I love the packaging. I love the vials. These kind of look like Osaka has some little samples that come in vials of this size, and I want to say they're all 5 milliliter. I don't remember, but they come in this cute little box, so it's easy to tuck away. So let's give that some time to dry, and then we'll look at that one and then flip through the ones that we swatched together. Now that that's all dry, let's take a look at Coffee Brown. Let's make sure it's in frame. So that's Coffee Brown, and it has kind of some orangey vibes, definitely compared to these dark ones. So I'm going to go through really quickly all the ones that we swatched together. So we've got Tono and Limbs Osaka. I have to add what color that one is. DeAtramentis Document Ink in brown. We've got Bungubox Quartier Latin Jimbocho, and that's super, super dark. Then we've got Pinky Elephant Intact Stationery in coffee brown. Then we're going to go into our blues. We've got Dusky Sunset. We've got Wearingeul For Whom the Bell Tolls, which has that red sheening on it. We've got Pacific Gaze. Let's see, we did Birmingham Ink's Tesla Coil, as well as Allegheny River, which is very pretty. We've got Tono and Limbs Bleu Macaron. We've got Kiwi and Glamorous Peacock, which kind of looks like this Tesla Coil, except this also has some shimmer and Tesla Coil does not. It also kind of reminds me, let me see if I can find it really quickly. KWZ, yeah, Sheen Machine. So maybe in the future I'll do kind of a sheening ink collection. I think that was it for the blues. Oh no, we did Writing Ink Agave, and that was it for the blues. Next we go to the greens. Let's see, we started over here with Tono and Limbs Suit Spade, a very bright blue. We've got Ferris Wheel Press Down the Don Valley. That one has shimmer, silver shimmer. We've got Basil Pesto by Birmingham Inks, and that has a little bit of, let's see, it almost has some like pink or brown underneath, but it's a very lovely green. We've got Diamine Machu Picchu, another bright one. We've got Tono and Limbs Yoseka Moss, part of the exclusive ink collection from their Spacewalk. We've got Sailor Amamoyoi, which has some pinks and greens in there. It's always nice when it finally all dries and you see what's on the edges of the inks. We've got Sketching Lily. It's kind of a almost an olivey green. DeAtramentis Document Ink in dark green. Though now that it has dried, it does not look that dark at all. So for those, we've got Achimungia, which that's the one that I misspelled, with Tono and Limbs. And yeah, I need to figure out what the name of that ink is, and I will add it later. We've got another Kiwi ink, Treasures of Atlantis, and that has shimmer, like gold shimmer, red sheening, green base. It's a lot going on there. We've got Palm Green by the Pinky Elephant and Tag Stationery. So nice green. Next we go to the reds and the pinks. Let's see. Okay, so we started from here with Diamine Wilted Rose, which is a muted, kind of like a purpley pink. And then we have this really light Achimungia Kubosakura Bloom Pink, which I've already used, and will have to switch out of my Kubosakura pen because it's just way too light for me. This is Sketching Jewel, the Colorverse Methuselah Tree. None of these have shimmer. And I kind of love that sometimes the ink from the next page bleeds into the previous one, or that there's blotches. This is kind of my play ink journal, and it's messy because ink is messy, and that's totally fine. So on the other side, we have the Monteverdi DC Super Show Special Ink, Foxy, and this is what that looks like. And it has, it's supposed to have some shimmer and like a very subtle shimmer to it. And then we have the Kiwi ink, Quetzalcoatl, and that one also has some like wine red and greens and just all kinds of interesting things happening there too. I don't even know. I mean, this is magic to me. The fact that they can make ink do all that. And this is Pinky Elephant Citrus Night. Next to the grays and the blacks, we have, so I had these two already swatched, but now I have cartridges of Pilot Iroshizuku Fuyushogun, and then I have a full bottle of the Hachimonjia Ginsen Snow Gray. Now, for new ones, I added Colorverse, the San Francisco Pen Show exclusive ink, San Francisco Fog. It's a nice gray. This is more of a, this leans more towards the, it's almost like a purple gray. Tono and Lim's Brooklyn Haze. And then the Waterman Intense Black. So you see how it has some sheen in there. And I think finally we have Birmingham ink, Starfruit. You see it has, it's these things that really interest me. Just like what else do, yes, we have this, but what happens when you add more ink down on the paper? Like what does it do? And then I didn't get the special show ink for the San Francisco Pen Show 2024, I think it was, which was Golden Gate Bridge, but I just realized I have Golden Gate Glow instead. I think the Golden Gate Bridge was definitely much redder, much darker. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this, this very long swatch video. I will definitely try and speed up some pieces so that it's not super long like my previous videos, but I am happy that I finally got through swatching all of those inks. It was definitely a lot, but now I can finally put them away, start using them, and hopefully you found some inks that you enjoyed. If you have any of these that you really like, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. What inks have you gotten in the, recent months? I would love to know that too, because I think I'm set on inks for a while, but it's always nice to share what inks we've been loving. Maybe somebody else is looking for a particular shade. And I do keep a collection, a list of inks that I've seen that I would like to maybe someday add a sample of to my collection. And so then when I'm at pen shows or, there's a sale, I am not kind of blinded by all of the options. I know exactly what it is that I'm looking for, and maybe I can add that to the batch. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the comments that you've been leaving in my past videos. It's really nice to be back and to share and be a part of this community. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!